Innistrad Remastered releases next week, so let's look at what we've got coming. So, in our first queue here, we're looking purely at multicolored cards. We have everyone's big go for here, Edgar Markov. Doesn't need to be explained. Eminence was a pretty busted ability that they swung way too hard with on the first instance. Definitely pushed Edgar way too hard, way too fast. So, yeah, add your board wipes to your commander decks, because there might be a few more of these bumping around. Our first instance here, we have Arlene Cord, 4-drop Werewolf, two-sided Planeswalker, very cool. But you'll notice from these abilities, apart from just making a token, she just is kind of a traditional Gruul Planeswalker. She just gives Trample, Haste, +1 and Trample to all creatures, Lightning Bolt, and an emblem which gives them the ability to tap and deal damage to any target. So pretty solid in a token or creature-based deck anyway. Wouldn't be, well, at $2 on the reprint, nothing too good. Our boy Grim Corpseborn here gets a reprint with some, I believe this is new art. It doesn't untap, he's a sack outlet for zombies. And when he attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls. He's a very strong, very powerful zombie tribal synergy that either goes in the 99 or potentially is the commander of Olivia Voldaren, Rakdos Demon Commander. From a forgotten time, sadly. She was traditionally played in more of a controlling matchup where you ping something to make it a vampire, then gain control of a vampire. Pretty, pretty rough, old school, 10 years ago commander, really. Sigarda, the host of Herons. She is a 5-mana Selesnya, 5/5 with flying hexproof. Spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents. So she was a haymaker against Liliana's in the original draft environment. She's a big flying angel with hexproof. Not really a true commander style, but a fun card to open nevertheless. So pretty good selection so far. Let's keep going. In our free color, we have Tamio Field Researcher. I remember playing with this in Standard. Very strong, very powerful effects. Basically, draws you cards, taps down creatures, and gives you Omniscience emblem. Finally, in our last mythic slot for 2-color, we have the Gitrog. Classic monster, has to be here in Innistrad. It's really powerful in a land-based deck. Lets you play an additional land each of your turns. You have to sack a land on your turn, but whenever a land goes to your graveyard, you draw. Keyword there is from anywhere, so if you mill it, discard it, sacrifice it from the battlefield, draw a card. Really powerful, doesn't need saying. Now let's look at the lower down power rares to see what we get here. A lot of these have come from in the multicolor slots, have come from the more recent Innistrad sets. So we have Altered Ego, which is a uncounterable clone that can copy any creature on the battlefield. It's a fun inclusion in your deck. If your opponent's got something egregious that's running away with the game, you can also have something egregious, but you can make yours bigger with 1/1 counters. Angel Fire Ignition, 3-mana sorcery that gives 2 counters and gives a creature Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, and Indestructible, and Haste, and has Flashback. So, really powerful combat ability, is held back by the fact that it is a sorcery. I was using this in a Obosh deck with loops with Boros Reckoner, where I would make it indestructible, have it deal damage, and then constantly have the damage from the Boros Reckoner redirect to the Boros Reckoner, and Obosh would double the damage each time. So it'd basically charge up a massive Hadouken and take out a player. Was a very fun effect, also gaining you infinite life, never to be shuffed at. Bloodhole Priest. Whenever this whenever this creature enters or attacks, if you have no cards in your hand, it deals 2 damage to any target. Not really a commander will start, more for a madness effect, obviously here. Fun effect, but you never want to have no cards in your hand in commander, so I don't think that's going to see much play. Galvanic Iteration, it is a copy spell effect with flashback that leads to some stupid late game interaction, which is really fun. So you cast it for 2, then you flashback it for 3, and now you copy it twice. So the next spell you cast will be copied 3 times. Have fun doing silly stuff with that. Traditional Izzet Spellslinger, very good inclusion. Gisun Garaf has been reprinted to death because it was one of the commanders from the intro commander. But again, very iconic characters of Innistrad, so they should absolutely be here. Enters, mills card, then you can cast zombies from your graveyard. It's a fun intro zombie deck that doesn't technically lean towards infinite outlets because you are restricted by that once a turn. Huntmaster of the Fells, now this guy, I remember this guy being an absolute powerhouse. 4 mana for a 2/2 that enters and makes a wolf and gains you 2 life. And then if no spells are cast, you transform him into the Ravager of the Fells. When he enters, he does 2 damage to an opponent or planeswalker and 2 damage to up to a creature they control. Then if you cast 2 spells again, he transforms back, and so on and so forth. Obviously this is a one-on-one card. It's a pain to track in a 4-player Commander game. But honestly, the biggest problem with werewolves is in Commander is you very rarely flip them if you don't have force ways to flip them. Because it's very rare, unless you're in the very, very late game, that they don't want to necessarily have flips. Personally, I like this in a kind of flicker deck because his abilities are an ETB or otherwise. But yes, fun inclusion. Alicia, Forgotten Archangel. So whenever a non-token creature you control dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step, and if a creature an opponent would die, exile it instead. So pretty powerful effect. 4/5 flying lifelink. She can. So it's hard to explain. It's a very powerful effect, literally for a second ability. The ability to graveyard hate your opponents out in Commander. Little steep with no protection, but very good nonetheless. Would not be ashamed to see that across the table. Maelstrom Pulse, again reprinted here. Hopefully you don't open this. I hope you got yours in Foundations, because it's bulk at the moment. So destroy an on-land permanent and all of the permanents to share a name with it. It can be really fun to blow up 3 Soul Rings at the same time. Moving down to our last 2 rares, we have Spellqueller, the bane of my existence when Pioneer first started. A 3 mana 2/3 with flash, and when it enters you exile a spell with mana value 4 or less, and whenever Spellqueller leaves the battlefield, the opponent may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. So, bane of my existence because it does not counter the spell. So, Cavern of Souls effects do not protect the spell. It exiles the spell off the stack. So, yeah. Really powerful card in Constructed. Not really that much in Commander. A lot of the big things you want to counter are more than 4. But still, it's a fun card. I mean, Spirit Tribal might want to play it. I don't think it has much of a play anywhere else. It's more of a Pioneer card, and I'm happy to see a reprint. Torres, Fist of the Angels. Oh man, 1 green and white with training. Whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you make a 1/1 human soldier with training. So I get what they were going for here. This is kind of a token producer. Obviously, every time you cast a creature spell, you make a token. And when you attack, all those tokens will turn into 2/2s because Torrens is a 2/2. It's a fun card in a very creature-heavy deck, and you'll probably see it there. But really, it's hard to build around because it's a 3 mana do nothing. But, you know. And then we move on into our uncommons. So we have Blade Stitch Scab. This is a half-lord for zombies. Blood type Harvester. Do I even need to talk about this card? It's absolutely insane. Flesh Taker is a sack outlet that lets you gain life and scry. But you have to pay 1 to sack, so it's not the most powerful. Grizzly Ghoul. When it enters, you get 1/1 counter for each creature that died this turn, so it's something to follow up from board wipe. More powerful in Limited, again, really good. Join the Dance, Token Producer, Markov Waltzer, a Pumper, and a way to give haste, but a 1/3, not too great. Vilespawn Spider, a little card that lets you mill, sack it, make a ton of 1/1 spiders. I don't think this is really good. It's more of a limited card again. Wandering Mind, I love this card as the last card here. I'm a big proprietor of this card. 3 mana, look at the top 6, put a non-creature, non-land card from among them into your hand, rest in the bottom of order. Really good card, happy it's reprinted again, but yeah. So that's the full set of multicolored cards. Pretty fun. Nothing too crazy apart from Edgar, if I'm 100% honest. If you look down, you'll notice everything here is, there's nothing above $10, so the real value isn't in the multicolored cards, as I've said before, which might serve us well as singleton pickups later in the future. But let's look at the special treatment. So we have the absolutely insanely beautiful Edgar Markov here. Yep, I know already 2 Edgar players who are looking to upgrade to this. This badass Arlen with the Midnight Hunt artwork and her relevant wolf counterpart. I would love to have this. I'd have no idea where I would play it in any of my commander decks, but I would definitely, if I pull this in anything or can grab this, I will find a place for her, put it that way. And a Huntmaster of the Fells in old art. Yeah, again, really sick artwork here. Again, not too expensive, really fun. I might look into that. Then we have traditional, just some old border stuff, nothing too crazy. But yes, oh, and we then have the multicolored monster posters. So we have Gitrog, Olivia. That's so sick. I actually would consider remaking of I would have, yeah. And the Spellcrawler is a pretty cool effect as well. Then there's the Chase 1 of 500 Edgar Markov, what no one needs to talk about because no one's going to get that. So yes, Innistrad Remastered next week. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let me know what you're looking to